What is up, guys? I do hope you're well, and welcome to another video from the r/daddycringe subreddit. If you would like your story shared, don't forget to post it on r/daddycringe. If you are new here, please consider hitting that like, that subscribe button, and maybe even the notification bell. And let's get started. Now we have a story from Amthab. Again, these names, man. Entitled Mother Spits in My Face Over a Garden Hose. This is my first submission to a big sub, so feel free to give me constructive criticism, but please be gentle. I edited to correct my formatting mistakes, and I'm not on mobile, nor is English my second language, so I own any mistakes. I already put this in the main EP sub, but I wanted to put it here for your consideration. I'm kinda new to Reddit, so if I did it wrong, I'm sorry. You can't go wrong on this subreddit, man. We're pretty open here. Do as you please. This happened about 20 years ago, so in deference to the decade, late 90s, early 2000s, our entitled mother will not be a Karen. She'll be a Britney. I also want to make it clear that her two little girls, Sandra and Sally, were darlings and were in no way entitled kids. Also, I can't stand stories that have been obviously embellished, like really? Who uses phrases like, my darling angel on the regular? So I'm doing my best to relate the story exactly as it occurred. Please keep in mind, however, this was 20 years ago, and no one's memory is perfect. Okay, so my boyfriend and I have moved into a house that we are renting. We're in our early 20s, with bills in our own name, and feeling like we're adulting for the first time. We both have jobs that pay above minimum wage, but we're in no way well off, as we're just starting out. Enter Sandra and Sally, who are around the age of 8 and 9 years. I was quite taken with them, and the feelings were fairly mutual. They were at the age where having a big girl as a friend was very flattering to them, and would get very excited when invited to hang out with me and my friend. I would save things like costume jewellery and body glitter to give them as random gifts, after making sure they weren't forbidden to have items, and in general, it seemed like we had lucked out in having them living next door. Of course, if that were the case, then I wouldn't be posting this story here. Introducing Brittany, she of the thundering thighs encased in booty shorts. She was too young for a let me speak to your manager haircut. Oh no, she had the requisite crunchy sky high buy me a Zimmer perm. That was par for the course in the 80s. Tiffany was a single mum and always needing something. A lot of times that also involved waking us up. 8 AM in the dead of winter. Can you jump my car? 11 PM on a school night. I don't have anything for Sandra and Sally's dinner. 2 AM on a Friday night / Saturday morning. Woohoo! She didn't always have to need something to wake us up. In kind of a deviation to the usual obvious form of entitled mother, Brittany started to catch on to the fact that she was annoying us with her constant intrusions, so she started sending her children to do her dirty work for her. I didn't mind. I actually preferred their sweet smiles to her vacant-eyed stares. Until the dun 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 day of the garden hose. It was a hot July day, and I was doing some light house cleaning in our air-conditioned home when I hear a tentative tap at our front door. Sandra and Sally were standing there, looking a strange combination of scared and bursting with excitement. Hi girls, what's up? We've got a swimming pool. Sally dancing around in excitement. Mummy said she'd fill it up if we can use your faucet. Now, I lived in an urban area, and it wasn't entirely common to have hose hookups, so we're kind of an anomaly. Our hookup was located in our backyard. To get to it, you had to open 2 gates. We had a chain link fence and a privacy fence. Not sure why, it was just like that when we moved in. The privacy fence was located just inside the chain link fence. I assumed that someone wanted a privacy fence, but didn't want to go to the trouble of removing a chain link one. But I digress. I loved these kids, but water bills weren't exactly cheap, and as I mentioned, we weren't well off, as we were just starting out. I hated to disappoint the girls, which I'm sure is why Brittany sent them, but this time I had to tell them no. I also told them that they could probably attach the hose to their kitchen sink, and if Brittany didn't know how, I would help her. They thanked me and went away, looking slightly dejected. I felt bad, but didn't think much of it. Hours later, I'm making a bath, and I noticed that the water pressure is a bit low. I bet you can see where this is going. Boyfriend comes in and notifies me that our street has a river running through the middle of it. I say I'm not surprised with the rain falling so hard. I can hear it outside the window. When he informs me that it's still sunny out, it all comes together in my head with an audible click. I throw on my robe and run outside. Sure enough, Brittany has trespassed onto our property, opened our back fence and ran a hose over it to fill up their pool. Mind you, this is not just a standard sized baby pool, but one of those large inflatable above ground pools that come up to about the waist on an average sized adult. It held thousands of gallons of water. Not only has she done this after being told no, but she's let it run so long that it's overflowed and caused her yard and ours to flood, and the water is running into the street. I'm sure she did this purposely out of spite. Tell me no, will she? Well, I'll show her. Petty as fuck. I was furious. Brittany doesn't answer when I knock, so being young and not knowing exactly what to do, I call the police, who were less than helpful. They tell us that they recommend pulling the hose into our house, so she would have to come and talk to us. We know the water bill is going to be astronomical. An hour later, a mortified looking Sandra and Sally come and knock on my door. Miss OP, can we have our garden hose? Instead of bringing them into the argument, I gently explained to them that the hose is way too big for their little arms to carry. It's at least double the size of a regular one, and tell them to ask their mummy to come get it and I will give it to her. An undetermined amount of time later, I hear a knock on the front door. Creak. Slowly open, and the hose, as if by magic, starts to slither out. I quickly open the door and tell a shocked looking Brittany that I needed to talk to her. I say, I'm sure you know that I told Sandra and Sally that. Before I can finish the first sentence, Brittany cuts me off, jumping around, calling me names, ranting unintelligibly, and takes a swing at me. I dodge it, and she spits in my face. I'm thoroughly disgusted and furious. I want to cry and go into rage-induced fury at the same time, but by some miracle I managed to hold on to my dignity and self-control. Me calmly wiping my face and smiling benignly. Thank you, that's assault. Without another word, I turn on my heel and shut the door in her face. I go inside and call the cops, and they send out Barney Fife, who was surprise, less than helpful. I tell them that I want to press charges for assault and theft. I didn't think of it as trespassing at the time. He goes off to talk to her, comes back looking like he'd accomplished some real big boy shit. Barney says, I told her she has to pay for your water bill when it comes in, or she will go to jail. Barney then says, as far as charges go, she didn't commit theft of services. And assault? As I said, she committed theft of services, but the best we can do is file a report. I'm eye rolling so hard I saw the back of my skull. Unfortunately, that was the anticlimactic end of the story. Brittany avoided us after that and kept the girls away from us, so that relationship ended. Our water bill was $40 over the regular amount. Minimum wage was less than $5 an hour then, so yeah, that was a day's wage. We taped a copy of the bill to Brittany's door and later found it crumpled up in our mailbox. We later informed the police. They told us it was a civil matter. Oh my fucking god, that's so frustrating. That stupid police officer tells you, oh yeah, she will go to jail if she doesn't pay it, when he knows damn well that's a civil matter and you'd have to deal with that yourself. That's so stupid. But what's the most, I think I know you had a money issue and stuff back then, but I think the most painful thing though was those two girls. They obviously, you had a really good relationship with them. It's like when you get a relationship like that, it's really, really special, and to have it taken away by a stupid EP is just it must be heartbreaking for you guys as well to have to go through that, especially as the girls looked up to you, you know. But yeah, you can't have the EP just dictating your life and taking the piss, basically. What does she think she was doing? Climbing over? Did she climb over your fence to get to plug in the hose? That's beyond belief, really, isn't it? The audacity of some people. But thank you so much for sharing that story. That was really well written, and I love reading it as well. Thank you very much. Next, we have a story from Parker Hall 0310. Entitled Aunt and Cousin Cause Family Tension After a Party. I posted this on Entitledparents subreddit, but since I love daddy cringe, I think it suits here more. I have many stories of my entitled aunt and cousin, but this one is the one that still causes problems to this day, so let us begin. Sorry, it is long. This happened many years ago, but it's still fresh in my mind. So in this, I'll refer to my aunt as EA, my cousin is EC, and me as well myself. Before I say my story, this will require a little background. My cousin is younger than me and always was very greedy and selfish. She never shared, and I was always confronted by her aunt, being that I was the problem. However, when they came around mine, I always shared and was never forced to either. Nevertheless, It was a huge family get together for bonfire night, a British celebration, and it was around EA's house. We arrived a little bit later than everyone else and was greeted by all of our family. I proceeded to say hi to all my other cousins and went to play with EC's family dog. When I went to grab a soft toy, EC confronts me and snatches the toy out of my hand, saying something along the lines of, "You can't play with my dog, he is mine, and don't touch my stuff," with a smug grin and a look of arrogance. After her EA most likely. I proceed to say something like, "It's good to share," but she was very rude and picked up the dog, smirking as she took him outside. I tried to confront her and get another toy, but then she scoffed and grabbed the whole box of toys and wandered off. I felt a little disheartened and very upset. Since I was 8, I just wanted to play with a dog, so I went to talk with EA. Well, I was asking if I could play with a dog, but EA said too much as I remember. "No, you have to share playing with a dog, as it's EC's dog, so she can decide who plays with the dog." I replied with, "But I just want to play with a dog." Well, this caused EA to get mad and give me a death glare and responded with, "You can't play with a dog, now go away, I'm busy cooking." Now I felt this was a personal attack due to the fact that everyone else could play with a dog and I couldn't. Being only a young kid at the time, I just got some food on a plastic plate and went outside. This will later be very important, so take note. I was eating my dinner on a chair outside, and when I got the chance, had a sneaky play with a dog. I placed my plastic plate and cutlery next to me, and EC comes over, a bit red in the face. "Put that plate inside now," she says sternly in my face. Now I was all for it because she was rude. I looked at her and calmly said, "After the fireworks." To she proceeded, "No, right now." After going back and forth for a solid 3 minutes, and EC saying such things as, "You're a horrible cousin," she storms off, and my family watch the fireworks show. Straight after, I look around to see a garden full of trash from the other kids and think to myself, hey, everyone else has left their rubbish and I'm tired and I need to go. So I left my trash outside and went to my mother. Big, big, big mistake. So I get inside and go over to my mother and hug her, since it was a very lonely night, and EC storms over to me. "Oh no, here we go again. Go get your trash from outside now." She points at me and slams her foot down. Bearing in mind, everyone else had left their trash, and I know I should have, but instead I reply, "EC, it's late and we're going now." So, she storms outside, picks up my trash and throws it in front of me on the table. "Here, I did it for you, you lazy brat." Our whole family stood still. Then EC goes and hugs EM, who says this, "Don't worry EC, OP is a horrible girl anyway." Excuse me? I felt quite sad from that comment from my own family member, never mind an adult. Anyway, I left the place sobbing at my mother and explained the whole thing to her. My mum wasn't too happy either, and we both tried to forget the whole thing. But no. Now for a long while afterwards, our family kind of become a split warfield due to this. EA made EC seem like a saint with the lines of, "EC would never do such a horrific thing and it's all OP's fault," and argued about all the bad things I was and did. I'd like to say at the time, I was in extra classes and I couldn't read and write as well as the other students and had a fear of drama and shouting. Lucky enough, I got my break when I moved away, and so did EC and EA, and I never had to deal with those two again. Apparently though, EC and EA are still up to their evil ways, but I'm grown up and I couldn't care less. So if this can be a lesson, share and have proper manners and patience. And that indeed, that is too true. But what a shitty little cousin. Why is the aunt backing up that kind of behaviour? What I'm kind of disappointed though is that your mother didn't back you up when the aunt said to you, saying like, OP is a horrible girl anyway. Your mum should have backed you up on that point there and there, you know. But yeah, she probably had the best thing, just get out of there and not deal with them again because they sound like assholes.